A court in Tehran has ordered the United States to pay $330 million, and it has something to do with an event which took place about 40 years ago. Now, to talk about this in more detail is the host of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari, who joins us once again from the City of Angels. Lisa, the Iran state media reported that a court in Iran issued a verdict demanding the United States pay $330 million in restitution for its alleged involvement in orchestrating a failed 1980 coup against the newly established regime?
Yeah, could you imagine? How do you say chutzpah in Persian, right? This is beyond the audacity of what the regime has done over and over again formally. I mean, informally, we know about all the proxies and all the terrorism and all the suicide bombers that they support, all the blood they have on their hands, including American blood as well. But now they decided among themselves in an Iran court that the United States owes them $330 million. This is from what they allege is a coup that the United States helped orchestrate when Jimmy Carter was president, that would try to unseat this regime just months after they came into power. Now, I actually wrote an op-ed just a few months ago why Jimmy Carter owes the Iranian people an apology, because many Iranians, when you look back on the American foreign policy of the time, believe that Jimmy Carter was the one who pressured the Shah of Iran to leave and was already in touch with the people surrounding the Ayatollah Khomeini, who was the founder of the Islamic regime in Iran. So it's interesting because the Carter presidency, or the administration rather, brought them in. It was what many believe. And then they are now saying that, no, they were actually the ones who orchestrated a coup. But bottom line is they think that the United States, after helping to unfreeze $6 billion to them just a couple of weeks ago, now owe them $330 million for what they were involved in.
And at the end of the day, a verdict in Tehran doesn't necessarily translate to the courts in the United States. It's like, yeah, good luck.
It just shows us how spiteful they are, and that they believe they have the upper hand, Hal, right? Just the amount of the bullying, right? The bullying, the intimidation to come out with such a thing. And many believe that Iran and a new Iran deal is right around the corner. I mean, they're not even on their best behavior when they're just about to perhaps get another deal with money released.
Lisa, Russian investigators say they confirmed that the remains found following a deadly plane crash last week are those of Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin. 10 people died when the jet crashed north of Moscow on August the 23rd.
Yeah, so people were skeptical as to whether or not he was in there, if this was just more propaganda, right? We can't believe anything that comes out of rogue regimes and dictators' mouths. This obviously narrative would, behoove and support the narrative of Putin that he's going after the Wagner Group, that he's going to go after those who cross him, and he believes that this mercenary group did not listen to him, that they have been, on their own, kind of doing what they want to do. So to rein everything back in, he basically launched this attack to kill this one individual. 10 others also died in the attack. And now there's DNA evidence to prove that it was him. So that kind of puts the story to rest, that he did go after an enemy, and that was in fact him.
Now, following the crash, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered that the resistance, or the remaining Wagner fighters, sign an oath of allegiance to the Russian state, Lisa. Is that an or else ultimatum?
Exactly right. So Putin is a funny dictator. He works in both ways, right? He's savage. He will do anything, right? He will poison his enemies. He'll kill his enemies. He'll do anything. But at the same time, he tries to appear like a formal statesman, right? So here he's saying, I'm going to kill you anyway if you don't listen to me. But here you go, sign on the dotted line and you'll be okay. This is more of a formality to say, look, if you don't want that to be your fate, then you better listen up and you better get back in line and listen to my orders.
Lisa, Japan's National Defense Ministry said it scrambled jet fighters to monitor Chinese Air Force bombers and drones flying near the country's Okinawa Island and near Taiwan. 2 Chinese H-6 bombers were spotted flying around.
Yeah, this is just goes to show it's not just Taiwan that's really looking out for what's going on in the region and really calling out the overreaches of the Chinese. But here you have Japan as well. Japan, South Korea, Philippines, many nations in that region have tried to get the attention of the United States and then have taken matters into their own hands as well to just monitor and make sure that China knows that they will not stand for any more of their just very rogue and very bullyish behavior to expand their influence over there.
Now, despite some ongoing tensions between the two countries, the Prime Minister of Qatar says his country does not have a war with Israel. But Lisa Mohammed Al Thani did say, however, that the Jewish state must reach a peace deal with the Palestinians.
You know how they all say that, but this is really the most overstated, trite statement that one could make about Middle East politics, right? So for decades, if you don't want to go back to biblical times, you can just talk about modern politics. For decades, they have been, at war with one another, meaning the Palestinians and the Israelis. And there has been no solution, but yet the Arab states stand there and say, these two have to work it out. But I don't see any of these Arab states helping out their Arab brethren when it comes to the Palestinians. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants to help them. And when you look at the juxtaposition of the Palestinians living inside Israel and those who are living outside Israel, whether it's in the territories or elsewhere, the ones living inside Israel are thriving. They're happy. They're living under Israel. They have jobs. They're able to go to school. They're able to vote. They're able to do many things, and they have many rights under Israel. And the others do not. They will go back to teaching their children to fight and to bomb and to kill Jews and all that indoctrination. So unless there is an overhaul of the entire system where suicide bombers are not paid to kill Jews, where young children are not taught to kill Jews from a young age in mathematics class, then there will be no solution to this. So the Qataris, the Saudis, I mean, every Arab nation feels like it's their responsibility to say that it's on Israel to make peace with the Palestinians before they move forward. But let me tell you one thing, Hal. We saw from the Abraham Accords that a lot of Arab states were willing to bypass the Palestinian issue in order to have deals and prosperity with the state of Israel. That's what the future looks like. If they want to continue throwing grenades and bombing, let them. We want to have deals, and we want to have private and public, treaties and deals that help us and turn a profit. And that's exactly what has happened. If you look at so many of these test cases with these Arab nations that were signatory to the Abraham Accords, it was an absolutely positive and successful endeavor. And I think a lot of these other Arab nations will turn around very soon to sign on as well.
The Prime Minister of Libya suspended their foreign minister over the weekend after she met with Israel's foreign minister in Italy last week. Tell me more about that.
This is a crazy story. We were covering this at the Foreign Desk yesterday, and we thought, you know what the headline could be? Perhaps Libya could be the next country to be signatory to the Abraham Accords because they're meeting, the foreign ministers of each respective state meeting with each other, and maybe this could lead to something. Hours later, before we went live with the story, we saw that the female foreign minister from Libya has in fact been suspended, not only suspended, but recommended for investigation for meeting with the Israeli foreign minister. So the story took a complete spin. Now they're denying it from Libya that this ever even happened, that it means anything. And we go back to square one.
Lisa, there are reports that the feds in the United States busted human smugglers who were using Snapchat to recruit juvenile drivers in Arizona.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the use of social media in getting these advertisements out there. Think about it. It's free. It goes out to millions of people, and it's the fastest way to get information in the hands of people. Literally, it's in their hands. So, thank God they're busting some of them, but it's really needle in a haystack. There's so much out there, whether it's on WhatsApp, Snapchat, Telegram, YouTube videos I've seen and come across. We've covered that at the Foreign Desk as well. But these are rings. They're like gangs. There are so many of them, and it is so profitable with so many people trying to come over and needing help. So they serve as the catalyst. Here's your problem. I'm your solution. Now pay up. They obviously will continue to use social media as their free advertisement to continuing their very, very lucrative businesses.
You know, among the more than 8.6 million people who have allegedly entered the United States illegally, and sometimes Canada illegally, nearly 1.6 million are classified as gotaways. What exactly is a gotaway? Is it, as the name suggests, somebody who just got away?
Yeah, somebody who came into contact with law enforcement but got away. This number has been underreported, and that's really what this story is about. Now, we know that again, everything that we talk about with regards to the border, until we have this open, porous border, none of this will be resolved. So every week we can have different stories, different angles, how they're taking advantage of it, which groups are taking advantage of it. And of course, as you know, how there are many, many honest people who just want to come over to the United States or Canada for a better life, of course. But there are consequences to that. First, there are humanitarian consequences, meaning even the well-intentioned people are running into all of these challenges, some of them drowning, some of them being raped, getting sick, getting taken advantage of, etc. But also the ones who are not well-intentioned. So we have gangs, we have people that are coming in from different countries, we have people who are just taking advantage of the fact that it's an open and porous border. So these gotaways, we don't know. They might be just benign. They were, questioned and ran away because they were scared. And obviously they know that they're entering the country illegally. And again, I remind you, there's a long list of people who are trying to get into this country legally, and their turn will not come around anytime soon as a result of these numbers coming into our country. But that's really how it's laid out. There's many gotaways. There are question marks. We can't vet these people. There are too many people coming in, and the authorities just cannot control the sheer numbers coming in.
A lot of sheer numbers coming in as well include the Ukrainian refugees, settling tens of thousands of them in Canada and the United States, of course. What's the latest with the war in Ukraine, Lisa? Is there any end in sight?
All we hear about from Ukraine is Zelensky asking for more money, more weapons, and Putin getting more rogue by the day. So unfortunately, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, because all I see this moving it towards is escalation. I don't see this moving towards de-escalation. I don't see Putin backing down, and I don't see Zelensky backing down. And with, the United States being its pocketbook and just coming and getting billions and billions at a time, it's ridiculous. The United States, on the one hand, does not believe that Ukraine can win this war, but at the same time keeps pouring money into this war. So I don't know why we are sustaining this war. Nobody wants a war. Nobody wants casualties. Nobody wants anything bad to happen to the Ukrainian people, and we don't want them to be invaded. But this is what has happened, and the way that it is panning out, the way that it is dragging out, does not look like there will be an end anytime soon.
Lisa, do you have an update as well on Donald Trump, who many say should become the next president of the United States next year?
Hal, his popularity is not dying down. If anything, he has used his mugshot to raise even more money for his campaign. If you were able to watch the GOP debates and then watch Donald Trump sit down with Tucker the same night, you kind of put those next to one another, you understand, whether you're part of it or not, what this obsession over Trump is, what this MAGA world is about, and why there are so many Americans who continue to support him, even despite the fact that his name is being tainted with the cases that are being brought against him, the mugshots, the arrest, all of these different ways in which the legal system is coming after him. Different states are coming after him, different entities coming after him. It's only increasing his popularity because people believe that he as an individual is not part of the problem, he is not part of the system, but that the rest of the political world is what needs to be reformed, needs to be cleaned out, needs to be changed here in the United States. So, you have a lot of, GOP candidates now in their arena. Some of them support him, some of them do not. Obviously, I think if he were there at the GOP debate, it would be all about him and bashing him. And I think it was a good opportunity to see the other candidates and what they stand for, and then to see his conversation with Tucker. And now we just watch these headlines, one after the other, trying to stop him. Well, let's see if he could be stopped. It's very interesting. But I do believe if politicians were honest, I know it sounds like an oxymoron, an honest politician, they would look at his popularity. They would look at why there's so many people following him, so many people supporting him, despite the fact that he's in charge. He's getting involved with all these different legal entanglements. Whereas you look at the Bidens, for example, Hunter and Joe Biden getting involved in all these different deals with China and Ukraine, et cetera, it is dropping the Biden administration's poll numbers like crazy. Biden and Kamala's numbers are abysmal right now. I think the Democrats are worried about that, and the Republicans know that. But let's just see how this all unfolds for 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. U.S. political reporter and host of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari, thanks so much for joining us today from Los Angeles.
My pleasure. Thank you.